Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another video here. Today I am on location at Withrow Nature Preserve. This is about a 270-acre park that's maintained by the Great Parks of Hamilton County. It has about 1.7 to almost 2 mile trail called the Trout Lily Trail. I'm here today for birds in particular, and so I'm looking forward to a lot of the early spring migrants and warblers that are coming through. Such as, a hooded warbler, which is a nemesis bird of mine, and so I'm hoping to really get them today. And, some other ones like blue-winged warbler, black and white, yellow-breasted chat, which I know is technically not a warbler anymore, but it's still a migrant bird that comes through in spring. And, just kind of see what we get for the morning here. As you can see, I'm recording in my car just for the audio purposes because it is pretty windy outside. It's kind of a little bit of a colder spring day, but that shouldn't affect too much with pushing migration through. In fact, it might actually help. So we may get some cool species for today, and hopefully some cool photographs at least. So like I said, there's about a almost 2 mile trail, and that takes you through these beautiful forested woodland, and there's even a scenic Ohio River overlook at one end, then you turn back around. So we're going to check all that out as we're also backed up here against the Ohio River itself, which should make for a great kind of edge habitat with these migrant birds coming through and everything. And so it's looking pretty nice outside otherwise, besides the slightly chilly temps, because it is very overcast looking for the morning here, and it should stay that way. So it should be pretty nice. And looking forward to this. Should be a good visit here in spring. And without further ado, let's get out there. Alright, so I'm here at the Scenic River Overlook. Right behind me here is the Ohio River, as you can see. It's kind of a half obstructed view. I did see some birds, some kind of blackbirds, at least it looked like, under this overcast sky, that were way off, flying in the distance above the water over there. Couldn't quite identify them, though, unfortunately. But yeah, just a nice little, pretty peaceful look over here of the river itself. I have hiked along the Trout Lily Trail so far. Kind of did a little bit of everything actually here at Withrow today so far. And then I did the old farm trail, which goes along a meadow habitat and then kind of loops around and everything. And that was particularly nice because it's edge habitat. So you get a lot of different birds that kind of can be out in that open, sparse kind of flatlands, and also in the tree lines surrounding them. So saw some house wrens, some chickadees, of course. Heard some different like gnat catchers and stuff like that, and saw some turkey vultures flying overhead, of course. And that was pretty nice overall to go through that and see all that. The trails are actually relatively looking nice today. We got some rainfall recently, and even though there is some kind of still and some standing puddles of water, it's not particularly muddy, and it's relatively flat here overall, except for some of the woodland trail that can have some kind of rolling hills, but nothing too drastic, at least, fortunately. Heard some singing Kentucky warblers. There's about, I think, like 2 of them that were singing back and forth pretty loudly on the Trout Lily Trail. Had some, northern parulas are singing pretty constantly in the woods. They very, very small warblers, some of the smallest ones, that is, but they're high up in the treetops. and so it's really hard to get a good look at them. I think other than that, just had different birds. There was a cool moment in the meadow itself where unfortunately I didn't get a photograph just because of how quick and brief the encounter was, but I saw a male cardinal, which of course is that bright scarlet red, kind of on the ground, situated amongst the grasses and the green foliage, and then there's a indigo bunting on this, like, perched on the same stick on the ground. So the cardinal's at one end, and then the indigo bunting was at the other, and just the contrast of all that kind of dynamic colors going on, you know, the red of that cardinal, the blue of that bunting, and then the green grass and everything around them, was just really, really cool. And I really wish I got a photograph of that, just because I think that'd be cool. Like, anytime you can get a species or something that like that, where it's like two different kinds of birds or animals or whatever, wildlife, if you can get them in the same shot, even though they're not directly related, I still think it's just seriously cool to get that kind of moment. So yeah, I think from here I've kind of done most of the trail, so I think I'm gonna go back kind of on a different way I came, back through the woods here, now that I've gotten this out and back here at the overlook. And I'm going to see if I can find any different birds for the morning here. The wind has calmed down drastically, and it looks like it's going to be cloudy pretty much all day today. So I'm in no hurry in terms of getting light, or having the sunrise, you know, kind of affect my photographs and everything. So, but so far, man, bird watching can be tough. And even though I can see and hear a lot of things, more so hear them in spring here, it can be very tough in this woodland. When it's, you know, pretty much dark a lot of the times, to get some images. And if you do get some, you know, nice clear views of some of the birds, it's still going to be very dark and grainy and very noisy images, just because you have to increase the ISO level, and it's just overall very, very dark. So you kind of just end up feeling almost empty-handed sometimes with that, just because of how much of a challenge it is, quite frankly. And you know, it can make things tough, but like I said, I'm going to go ahead and go here, and we'll see on our way back if we can get any bird species and some photos. Alrighty, everyone, that's going to conclude today's video here. Yeah, it's been a very noisy morning in terms of you know, songbirds and everything migrating through, and warblers in particular, singing from different parts of the woodland here in the meadows. But it's been not the most productive, you know, in terms of getting images, of course. And that's just the name of the game, and I like to deliver things as authentically as I can. And not sugarcoating the reality that, you know, you're not always going to get images that you're proud of, or even images at all, when you go and visit places like this. And that's where persistence, you know, pays off, and it makes it really important to keep coming back again and again, throughout the year and different seasons, of course, in order to find success. You know, now at the very end here, I hiked all the trails twice, actually. I've been here for a good few hours here this morning. And I did get some nice close-up images of an eastern towhee, that was a male one, that was just perched very conspicuously. I'm kind of up higher. I really wish it was eye level, but just pretty high up. I would say about maybe 15 feet up in the air, perched on this very clear, dead, like, snag of a tree branch or whatever. And the images look very nice. They're very nice, pleasant, like lime green color, from the leaves surrounding it, as it perched on that branch. And there's some nice, beautiful white bokeh that was produced from having a faster aperture of f7.1. And then for my rest of my settings, I did 1/800th of a second, because it wasn't really in flight or moving around too much. Really, the only movement was it's turning its head left to right and around, and you know, opening its mouth, of course, to make one of its kind of alert calls, I guess. And then ISO is pretty high up there, at, you know, 6,400 or 6,400, because of the very dark, kind of overcast day we're having here, which, you know, makes it for a nice flat light if you want to get images all day, but makes it kind of tough in these woodland areas to get images, of course, because of how dark it is throughout. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I got some different images of it, with its mouth open, like I said, and closed. perched and just kind of facing off one way and composing them with one side, having the bird on one side, that is, and then also having it pointed, its head turned to the more empty or negative space, to the other side of the frame. So did some horizontal images of like that, and yeah, I think they turned out pretty well, at least. Other than that, yeah, I heard a lot of Kentucky warblers, like I said earlier. I did finally hear over here, actually, off to my side here. As you can see, I'm back at the river overlook area, and I did hear one single hooded warbler that probably sang about twice, I would say, and Merlin confirmed it with the sound identification. So that's really cool to get a lifer. Not the best circumstances. Of course, I'd like to get, ideally, a frame filling image, of course, and to hear it sing and have a nice visual. But you know, I'll settle for this. Not the most impressive way to get a life bird, but still, nonetheless, I would include that, even though I just kind of heard it singing off way in the distance here only. So, but yeah, this is a really cool place, very beautiful location that has, you know, a myriad of trails. And it's not too terribly big or long of trails either, and but it does make for a nice hike, honestly, all times of year. So I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Withrow Nature Preserve. Until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.